Have you ever noticed how some people stay weirdly calm when everything around them is falling apart, only to crash into anxiety hours, or even days later? Like, while everyone else is panicking in a storm, they're the rock. But when the lights go back on, their mind starts trembling. Today, we're diving into the psychology of people who feel calm during crises, but anxious later. This isn't about bravery, and it isn't just about stress. It's about the invisible wiring of the mind. The hidden switches that flip when threat turns to aftermath. The silent truth most people don't talk about. Here's the thing. If you've ever wondered why someone can act composed in chaos, but unravel afterwards, this video explains it at the deepest level of psychology. Let's break it down. 1. The crisis brain switch fight, flight, freeze, and overdrive. When danger hits, your brain goes into survival mode. The amygdala, the emotional alarm system, blasts signals that trigger a flood of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. You might think that would make someone anxious, but in some people, it actually sharpens focus. This is because their nervous system reacts with what psychologists call hyperarousal, but in a directed way. Instead of spiraling, they channel it. They grab control. They act. They don't feel calm because everything is fine. They feel calm because the mind is too busy processing survival to process fear. But here's the twist. This state isn't meant to last. It's like turning on the engine of a race car. Great for a short burst. Not great when you park and the engine keeps revving. After the crisis passes, the nervous system doesn't shut off immediately. That's when the delayed anxiety kicks in. Your body says, okay, we survived. Now let's feel what we didn't feel before. That's why calm people during chaos often experience anxiety later, because their nervous system finally catches up. 2. Emotional suppression isn't strength, it's deferred stress. Here's a psychological secret. People who appear calm in extreme moments are often experts at emotional suppression. Don't confuse that with emotional control. Control is conscious. Suppression is unconscious. When a crisis hits, they push their emotions down, deep down. So deep that their behavior looks composed. But suppressed emotions don't vanish. They hibernate. And psychology shows that suppressed emotional processing doesn't disappear. It resurfaces at a later time, often stronger. This is called the rebound effect. So when the chaos ends, their mind starts to process everything they didn't allow themselves to feel. Heart rate rises. Thoughts loop. Worries flood in. That's the late-coming anxiety. It's not panic during danger. It's the emotional bill that comes due after the danger is gone. 3. The illusion of control. Why calm isn't always confidence. Some people remain calm because they believe they're in control even when they aren't. This is tied to a psychological concept called illusory control, the belief that we have more influence over events than we really do. In a crisis, those with illusory control stay calm because their brain says, I've got this. I know what's happening. I can handle it. But here's the catch. That sense of control is psychological, not factual. It protects them in the moment. It keeps them functioning. But once the crisis fades, reality seeps back in. Reality doesn't care about confidence. Reality cares about facts. And the difference between what they thought they controlled and what was actually controlled becomes the seed of anxiety. Because when they're alone, their brain starts asking, what if I didn't handle it as well as I thought? That internal dialogue is a breeding ground for late emerging anxiety. It's not that calm people are lying to you. They're lying to themselves, just enough to get through. 4. Emotional intelligence versus emotional awareness. Two different things. Here's something subtle but powerful. Some of the calmest people are emotionally intelligent. They can read a room. They can soothe others. They can stay grounded while everyone else panics. But that doesn't mean they're aware of their own inner emotional state. Emotional intelligence can be external understanding emotions in others, but emotional awareness is internal understanding your own. And many people who appear calm in crises have incredible external intelligence but limited internal awareness. When everyone else is overwhelmed, they think about what others need. They put their emotional energy there. They become the emotional rock. But their own emotions get buried beneath layers of performance. Later, when no one needs their strength anymore, their brain suddenly turns inward, and all the emotions they ignored rush in at once. That's not panic in the moment. That's delayed emotional processing. And it feels like anxiety hitting out of nowhere, because they weren't aware of what was building up. They were too busy being strong for others. 5. The aftermath paradox. Calm now, storm later. Here's the final psychological piece of the puzzle: the aftermath paradox. During a crisis, your body is in survival mode. You're operating on instinct. There's no room for reflection, self-analysis, or worry. But when the crisis is over, the brain enters a different mode. It switches from reactive survival mode to reflective thinking mode. And reflective thinking mode feeds on memory. Memory triggers emotion. Emotion triggers interpretation. Interpretation triggers anxiety. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine someone navigating a chaotic situation, a car accident, a sudden loss, a family emergency, a major life disruption. In the moment, they're laser focused. Their nervous system is doing the heavy lifting. They don't have time to feel fear. But later, when they're in the quiet room, when there's no noise, when the adrenaline fades, that's when the brain starts replaying. What if I hadn't reacted fast enough? What if I could have done more? What if it happens again? And suddenly, calm becomes anxiety, because the crisis was external, but the aftermath is internal. And that's where the real battle happens. So what is going on here, psychologically? It's a combination of body and mind being wired for survival first and emotional processing second. During a crisis, survival kicks in. After a crisis, meaning-making kicks in. And meaning-making is where anxiety thrives. Now here's the part most people don't talk about. This delayed anxiety isn't a weakness. It's a sign of humanity, and it reveals something crucial about how human psychology works. During danger, your brain protects you. After danger, your brain evaluates you. Evaluation is what fuels anxiety, because your brain is trying to understand what it experienced. And that process involves memory, interpretation, fear, uncertainty, and yes, anxiety. So why do some people feel calm only during crisis and anxious later? Let's summarize the psychological truth. During crisis, their nervous system prioritizes function over feeling. Emotional suppression keeps fear at bay until the danger passes. A sense of control protects them in the moment but invites doubt later. They may be emotionally intelligent about others but unaware of their own emotional buildup. Once the threat is gone, the brain switches modes and starts processing everything it held back. And all of that creates a psychological time bomb, not in the sense of destructive explosion, but in the sense of delayed emotional reaction. It's like their calm was a dam holding back a river. And once the dam opens, the flood comes. Not immediately, not dramatically, but inevitably. Now let's make this real. Have you ever felt calm during a stressful situation only to feel overwhelmed later? Maybe it wasn't a life or death scenario. Maybe it was a fight with a friend, a sudden deadline, a panic moment that you handled, and then later, alone in your room, your mind started replaying every detail and every doubt. This pattern is more common than you think. And it's not a flaw in you. It's a natural human process. Your brain doesn't allow emotional processing when you need to act. It defers it, and deferred emotions tend to come back with interest, like psychological compound interest. Here's the biggest takeaway from all of this. Feeling calm during crisis doesn't mean you're unshakable. It means your brain is prioritizing survival over sensation. But once the crisis ends, your emotional system catches up, and that's where the anxiety shows up. Understanding this can change how you relate to your own emotions. It can help you stop judging yourself for feeling anxious later. It can help you recognize what's happening instead of letting it feel sudden or unexplainable. Because it is explainable, it's not weakness. It's psychology, and it's incredibly human. If you've ever wondered why calm in the moment feels so different from calm afterwards, now you know. Here's the final insight. The mind doesn't break under crisis. It unravels after it thinks it's safe. When you understand that, anxiety becomes less of a mystery and more of a signal, a sign that your brain is finally processing what it deferred. It means you survived. It means your brain is trying to make sense of the world again. And that's not crazy, that's growth. Before we end, here's a question for you to think about. Next time you feel late emerging anxiety, ask yourself, what emotion did I postpone during the crisis? That question alone can begin the process of understanding. If you found this insight revealing, hit that like button. Share it with someone who stays calm in chaos, but feels it later. And if you want more psychology-backed explanations of human behavior, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the human mind is deeper than you think, and every behavior has a reason worth exploring. Thanks for watching.